Happy to be on tonight and glad to be engaging. Uh, would much rather see many of you in person, but thank God that we're able to stay in contact anyways through streaming through the midst of this pandemic. Thank God for all of our members. Thank God for all of our family and friends and guests who may be streaming or watching later on. So just thank God for you. Jerusalem, just a couple announcements. Remember, this coming Monday is our annual gathering and business meeting. I like gathering better than business meeting, and and then not only that, but also govern yourselves accordingly due to the nature of the information disseminated. It's kind of private, but we want to make sure it's available on Zoom and on our conference line. And we'll post that. We're able to kind of monitor who comes in through our Zoom and also monitor who is on our conference line. And so we'll be doing that. But in general, just continue praying for our church and in general, uh, thinking about those who you have relationship with and come in contact with, and so we just want to continue just be praying, lifting one another up, um, and continue to be faithful. Tonight, talked about it the other week. Kayla Thomas, who's been a long time member since she was young. Uh, Prior to me, being pastor here, grew up in this church family. Mom, grandmother, family, just kind of part deeply entrenched in Jerusalem, and so thank God for her. She was home during the break. Her father actually worshiped with us this past Sunday. I'm going to continue prayers for him. But asked her if she would take time to do an interview with me about COVID-19 and the vaccination. A lot of questions and concerns and things that have arisen. And we had a good time this past Saturday having an interview discussion. We're going to play a portion of that tonight that just will be informative and the questions. I think there's a part of it's pre-recorded, so a part of it, she says, say, if you want to kind of leave general questions, you can, and she'll come back through and respond accordingly as she can. But thankful for Kayla, thankful for all the people that we have in Jerusalem. I've been doing a series on Wednesday nights about working with people, on Sundays talking about leadership, and this Sunday talking about following my example, or leading by example. So, I want to be able to demonstrate our leadership and our actions, and the more we do that, the more God can utilize us for who we are, the gifts that we have, and Him making the difference in our lives. And so I thank God for all of you. I'm going to say a prayer, and then I'm going to go ahead and launch this interview today. All right, Father Heaven, thank you for your goodness and your grace. Thank you for just this time together. Thank you for your people. Thank you for all that will stream in. Thank you for Kayla and what you're doing in her life. Continue to bless her as she continues on in her educational studies and the aspirations to one day serve in the medical field. And we just thank you for the expanse amongst African American young people who are entering in and will be able to serve and contribute in our country and our communities. Pray continue to bless her family, Lord. And we just thank you for your goodness and your grace. And we praise you in Jesus' name. Amen. All right.
So I'm going to go ahead and share my PowerPoint presentation. As you all might already know, I'm a current second year in medical school.
They can't.
And it's funny.
It's a video today, so they
didn't
can't.
learn so much about coronavirus until this year because of what has been going on. So I'm going to share my screen and first start with a brief explanation of what coronavirus is. So coronavirus is the name of the disease caused by SARS-CoV-2. That's the virus. It's transmitted via respiratory droplets. When you come in contact with an infected person, that's the most common mode of transmission. And your symptoms can vary, but they can include fever, chills, cough or sore throat, shortness of breath, fatigue, muscle aches, loss of taste, loss of smell. That's a common symptom, and also a runny nose. So your symptoms can vary, but it's a respiratory disease, and this is the symptoms that you can experience. So if you're wondering how you can get sick, well, it's most commonly spread through respiratory droplets or person-to-person contact. It can also be spread through touching contaminated surfaces and then touching your mucous membranes, which includes your eyes, nose, mouth, and ears. And then rarely it can be spread from person to animals. There have been some cases of positive COVID-19 cases in animals like cats and dogs and things like that. So that's why it's important that we continue to wash our hands and wear our masks. So to prevent COVID-19, you want to try to avoid person-to-person contact as much as possible. Wearing a mask prevents the respiratory droplets from flying out of your mouth and onto surfaces. And if you are going to touch a lot of surfaces throughout the day, you want to make sure you're washing your hands with soap and water or maybe a hand sanitizer that has at least 70% alcohol. And try to constantly sanitize surfaces in your home if you have people coming through in and out. And you also want to make sure you cover your cough. When you're wearing your mask, you can still cover your cough into the corner of your arm. And if you are feeling sick with any of those symptoms, try to seek medical attention if you need to get the COVID test. So I listed here places where you can get free coronavirus testing. I've got tested at the Legend Center. It's very fast. They just do a nasal swab. They don't stick it up in your nose, and they text you the results within 15 minutes. You can also try the TIA Bank Field, the Regent Street Square Mall. They have a very large coronavirus testing area, and the Florida Department of Health.
So just quickly, Kayla, are those all rapid tests or it just depends?
I know that the Legend Center is a rapid test. I think the TIA Bank Field maybe gets back with you in a couple of days because I know someone who got a test there. But I know that they're free. That's why I put them there.
Okay. Just one other quick question, and maybe that's something you know. So like of a nose swab, is that like the reliability is just the same? Like what's the?
Yes, the reliability of it is the same, and it's more comfortable. It's the same PCR test that's run. Just instead, they're not sticking it all the way up in your nasal mucosa, which can be uncomfortable for a lot of people.
Do you know anything about the antibodies test too?
I don't believe that the test that they're doing right now is antibody test. I believe it's just a PCR test, which means they're just going to test to see if you have the coronavirus antigen. They're not checking for antibodies. That's my belief.
Oh, okay.
That's what I think I know. So now that the COVID-19 vaccine is available, I want to be able to talk about it. So there's currently 2 COVID-19 vaccines available. One is distributed through Pfizer, and the other is distributed through Moderna. Both vaccines have appeared to be highly effective amongst various people, races, and ages. Moderna has been proven to be 94.1% effective, and Pfizer has been proven to be 95% effective at preventing laboratory-confirmed COVID-19 cases. And the way the vaccine works, they're both an mRNA vaccine, which means they're going to inject a piece of mRNA into your body. Your cells are going to pick it up, break it down, and present it to other immune cells in your body. And then you're going to mount an immune response to that piece of mRNA that you've been injected with. So to be clear, no, the vaccine does not contain live COVID-19. They're not injecting a live virus into you. And the vaccine will not alter your DNA or anything like that because mRNA doesn't even make it to your nucleus. It stays right in the cytoplasm of your cells. And once you mount this response, if you come into contact with COVID-19, you'll already have the antibodies prepared to fight the virus.
Would that also be true if you just had the first dose?
The studies were done in people who did both doses.
Okay,
So
okay,
the studies show that they have proven to be effective if you've had both doses.
okay.
Mhm.
Wow. Okay, I'll ask a question in a few moments. I'll let you keep going though.
Okay. Oh, and as for the dosing, not sure if I mentioned, but the Pfizer vaccine, so you'll get your first dose and then you have to wait 3 weeks to get your second dose. And with Moderna, you'll get your first dose and then you wait 1 month to get your second dose. Okay, so what happens when you get the vaccine? Like I just mentioned, that they are given in 2 doses and they're proven to be effective when you get them in both doses, so you have at the appropriate timing. After getting the vaccine, some common side effects that have been reported are pain or soreness at the injection site. So wherever they inject the needle at, chills, fatigue, or headache. These have been common symptoms that people experience maybe a couple of days after getting their vaccine. You'll also be given a vaccination card that will pretty much have the date and your name and the location of where you got your vaccine. They're handing these out as a way to kind of keep a record of who's all been vaccinated. And you'll also be able to report if you're having any other symptoms with that COVID vaccination card, because they want people to be able to report what type of symptoms that they're having after getting the vaccine.
Sure. Under you may talk about this in a moment, or maybe in there, but I'll just ask it anyways. Under what conditions would you recommend someone to talk to their doctor first?
Mm-hmm.
My mom, for example, she had a severe reaction to the flu shot, and then and also her doctor told her not to take the vaccine for shingles. So
Okay.
she's had real hesitation towards taking the vaccine because of reactions to other things. So she definitely, I think, is consulting her doctor. But are there any other things you might would consider a person would
Right. So it's
kind of
not
get medical?
recommended to get the vaccine if you're allergic to any of the contents within the vaccine. There's actually, once you are able to get the vaccine, they'll probably give you they call it like a product list, and it's a list of all the information pertaining to the vaccine. And it will say that if you've had allergies to X, Y, and Z, then you should not get this vaccine, or you should consult your doctor first. So if you have had allergic reactions to maybe vaccines in the past, that is probably something that you should tell your doctor about, so that they can look at the vaccine, the ingredient list, to see if you're possibly allergic
Okay,
to something in it. Yeah.
thank
So that was a perfect question, because here's a list of what the Pfizer vaccine contains. This mRNA, that's the part that's going to give you the immunity that we're talking about, and then this is the list of ingredients that are also delivered with the vaccine. So if you are allergic to any of those things, this is what you will want your doctor to know. And as for when vaccinations can get started, currently I think we're actually in phase 1B now, but at first we were in phase 1A, where healthcare professionals and residents of long-term care facilities were first. I'm actually getting my vaccine this upcoming Friday, because we're medical students and we have to go in to see patients and everything like that. So I'm able to get the vaccine soon. But right now, I think we just moved into phase 1B, where frontline essential workers and people over the age of 75 years or older are now eligible to get the vaccine. And then after that phase 1B is done, phase 1C will begin, and it'll include people aged from 65 to 74, and from people aged 16 to 64. So the way they're delivering the vaccines, deciding who gets vaccinated, is the people with the most highest risk. And then it's
Yeah,
a
I
kind
think
of a trickle down.
recently they're going to be moving to 65 and above in
Okay,
medical workers. So I think it's kind of a mix between 1B
1B and
and some of
1C.
the yeah, 1C stuff.
That's good. Perfect. Okay. And that's all the information I had to present today. And if you had any questions, as Pastor Dr. Blackburn mentioned, you can write them in the chat. And I'll make sure to check my Facebook throughout the weekend and everything to answer them.
All right. Well, Kayla, I really appreciate you taking the time to share what you have and
Thank you.
what you know. So often there's so much information that's going out, and people can be fear driven. So it really is a blessing to be informed. There's a verse Paul says a lot of phrase. He says, "I would not have you ignorant." you know, So it's a blessing that we don't have to be uninformed, but you would just take of your time to to let us know more about it, so we can make really good decisions. Because
Right.
ultimately, what is it? An ounce of prevention is better than a pound of cure. So,
Yeah.
if we can take steps to, to make sure that a lot of things necessarily do it. And I just say to everybody who's viewing today, there's plenty of people who want to see you around, and so when the vaccine and regarding all health decisions, you know, love yourself, and then also think about all the people who love you as well. And if by God's grace, you can live longer and live as long as you can, and so that's that. But with that being said, thanks everybody. Hope you've been again encouraged. Um, you can leave something in the comment or something that's like kind of more private or something like that. Um, Kayla, would you be open to somebody sending you a message?
Yes. Yes, that's fine.
Okay.
I'm a
Yeah,
little bad with my Facebook messages because I don't
sure.
check them
Yeah,
often, but
sure.
yes, I can. There was one thing I realized
Yeah.
I forgot to mention, but even after you getting the vaccine, it is still recommended that you wear your mask and still keep your social distance, still keep your washing your hands to help preventing the spread. Even though you're protected, you still want to protect yourself and others.